Welcome to 12-Minute Talks, where important information is shared in a short time period. Learn from other business owners, entrepreneurs, and experts about what they do to help you find solutions to everyday topics in 12 minutes or less. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the 12-Minute Talks podcast. I'm excited to have with us today Jose Solis. He's a realtor up in Orlando, Florida, helping families and businesses with all of their real estate transactions. Jose, thank you so much for being on today.
Thank you for having me, Lorena.
Awesome. So, this is a really interesting topic because I feel like every day we hear something about real estate. Usually, lately, it's been good, right? Like mortgage rates, interest rates are really low. And we have a lot of people, it seems, coming from other states into Florida to buy real estate, sight unseen, it seems. And I'm like, okay, it's interesting, I guess everybody working from home is like, let's leave the snow and go somewhere nice.
That is true.
Um, yeah. So Jose, before we get into all the details about what you actually do, what do you tell the audience a little bit about your background and how you got into this industry?
Yeah, absolutely. So my background is, I actually grew up up north. I grew up most of my life in Pennsylvania. Once I turned 18, I decided to say, hey, you know what? I want to go serve my country. I want to actually go to the Marines. So that was something I decided to take upon myself, and I did that. I had a lot of experiences, a lot of moments through that. But essentially, what I feel is I did a lot of different tasks and routines while I was in the service. But one of the last things that I actually ended up doing was serving as a armed services recruiter. So I feel that that propelled me for the job that I'm on. This mindset, how to have business line goals and metrics. So a lot of what I did, my last couple of years, is exactly just like real estate. In the sense of, sometimes you're just dealing with a lot of volume. It's a lot of conversations. Definitely a lot of information that you need to know with what's happening around you. But I had a fascination in real estate ever since I was a kid. I don't know if anybody remembers those Carlton sheets. They're like these cassettes. They come in like these plastic cases, and it's like how you can buy a house with like no money down. So like I picked a case of those up from somewhere. I have no idea where they came from, but I just started like looking into it, and I just thought it was the most awesome thing ever. And I had a lot of fascination even when I was in the military. I actually ended up taking my courses. I was actually living in San Diego. I took my courses, but I just never had the chance to take the state exam. Every time I always wanted to get into that route, I had to deploy or go somewhere. So once I finished my contract, yeah, lo and behold, here I am, 10 and a half years later, got out. I'm in Florida now. I decided to move to Orlando, make it my home, and now I'm just going full force in real estate. So there's a
Awesome.
lot of things that I've learned along my journey and along my way. And there's things that you still learn. Um, if there's any individuals out here that might have any interest in pursuing a career path in the real estate field, the biggest thing I can kind of just tell you is just be open minded, just be tenacious, and there's so many niches that you can actually fill. We're probably going to talk about some of them in a little bit today on today's podcast, but really it's just be hungry. That's the best thing I can tell you, and just be a sponge ready to absorb knowledge. So,
Yeah, I think that's important for any career path, right? Because just because you have like your license doesn't mean you really know how things work, right?
correct.
And until you maybe do that type of transaction, and then you're like, oh, this is what they said in the book, right?
Yeah,
Type
exactly.
of thing, or oh, it was different than what they wrote. Yeah, so that's great. Thank you for your service in the military, and I'm not going to ask you how you transitioned into real estate because you mentioned it there with the Carlton sheets. Um,
Yeah.
so, so Jose, why don't
Mhm.
you tell us a little bit about some of the people that you've helped? Is it mainly families, like new homeowners? What have you seen in the market where you work?
So I work out of the Orlando market. I cover anywhere from Tampa all the way up to Jacksonville, and I say that is just because I've had a listing in Tampa. I've had it listed in Jacksonville, but most of the stuff that I prefer to do is going to be local to the Central Florida area, out of the metropolis of Orlando. So typically, what I've seen, I guess the majority, I've had the ability to work this last year with numerous clients with different backgrounds, different ages, demographics, just a different array of individuals. But if you really look at the actual spectrum of Orlando, we have a big diversity of individuals coming from all over. What I see a lot is a lot of individuals moving from up north, whether that be states like New York, um, Massachusetts, Pennsylvania. You get the individuals coming from California or somewhere out west. Usually, it's California is what I'm seeing right now. And essentially, what they're doing is they're moving into Florida just because right now with the whole COVID and post COVID and whatever variation of COVID that we're actually on right now, there's a lot of opportunity for remote work. So essentially, people just move here. They see that they can buy a lot more house than they can versus um, their area where they're living at, and they come in. So what happens is now you got a huge influx of people coming into Central Florida. Well, we kind of don't have the capacity to be able to house so many individuals. So really, yeah, there's a low inventory, but with that also being said, there's low inventory, there's a high demand, you have a high supply of buyers. So really, what it comes down to is just if somebody was to move down here, just do your research, know where you want to go, start the transition as soon as you can, just to kind of get all your ducks in a row and figure out as much information as you can before you decide to make a move down here. So.
Yeah, so if somebody's thinking about moving to Florida, they should reach out to a realtor such as yourself before moving, is what you're saying?
Well, if they're decided to move out here, really, I think what they honestly should do is get an opportunity to actually, if they've been here before. Most of the time, from what we tend to see, is an individual has usually been here. Usually, maybe it might be for a vacation or some kind of tourist attraction, or maybe now they have a family member that ends up inviting them over. So they come here. Maybe they'll come here a couple times, and then they end up seeing. But really, yeah, I think it's always a good idea to just try to figure out, what it is that what's your intent, what's your overall plan, um, and then once you have that identified, then if you're looking at purchasing a home, well, then by all means, look at your options, and definitely, I like having options, but always look at your options and ask a lot of questions, just because obviously, if you end up going towards a route of purchase, this is going to definitely be one of the biggest purchases you'll make. Hmm.
It certainly is. And why should somebody uh, work with a realtor instead of maybe like Zillow? I've heard tons of controversy with
Hmm.
Zillow going on.
Okay. Well, one of the reasons why, the thing is, a lot of these big companies, such as your Zillow, your Open Door, that's just to name a few. I don't know if I'm supposed to say their name, but I guess we can, right? I mean, we're good. Okay. So a lot
We're
of these,
good. We're not saying anything bad about them. We're just saying, um, comparisons. Let's say.
okay, stating the facts. So a lot of these companies, what they actually end up doing is they control per se information, or they control market share. Typically, when you have these companies, like such as your Zillow, your Realtor, your Trulia, what they are is they're actually third-party sites that actually feed and cross-reference any kind of information that comes into what's called the MLS. The MLS is essentially acronym for multiple listing service. So the multiple listing service is what realtors that are actually licensed through the state under the Department of Professional Business Regulations. They have the ability to be able to have a platform where all realtors can put their listing on, and all realtors have essentially access to that. Well, these third party companies, what they tend to do is essentially they're quote unquote free to the consumer, right? So the consumer will get on. It's easy just to get online and search for a property. There's sometimes a lot of information that might or might not be on that, depending on depending on the actual listing itself. And most of the time, those free listings are never updated. For an actual realtor to actually gain access to the MLS, they have to actually go through the board. So what happens is whatever board they pertain to, this is going to be their local board. That MLS will give them the access to that they're needing to be able to find the listings for the client. So essentially, a lot of individuals, they end up looking through that, but unfortunately, a lot of those properties might not have the most accuracy. But another issue that we're running into also too is because these companies are so big, and they essentially they have the ability to buy properties. And right now, what we're seeing a lot of in the news is, oh, so and so wants to sell off, a ton of property now because they overpaid for it. They overpaid for it and they want X price, but now if you really think about it, what it kind of creates is still a frenzy because now it's on the media. Now everyone thinks we're going to wait for that great deal, that nice deal that's going to come around and we're going to come buy it. Well, so is like the other 30 people that already made offers on it. So that's another thing to take in consideration. When you have a realtor, having a realtor in your corner, it can really play a variance, right? The biggest thing I can tell you when searching for a realtor is really you want to find someone who you're going to feel comfortable with because at the end of the day, it is a business transaction that you're working with, but it is going to be your partner that's representing you to reach your goal. Whatever that goal may be, whether it be for first time home buyers, whether it be for being able to sell your property, whether that be working on your third, fourth, fifth, or sixth investment or maybe securing a commercial building. There's so many niches when it comes to actual real estate wants needs, and everybody's situation is a little bit different. So you want somebody who's gonna back you up in your corner to essentially advocate on your behalf when it comes to any kind of negotiations, contracts, and who's looking for the little things that you are not looking for just as an individual. So obviously we're doing transactions on a day-to-day basis. We're looking over contracts on a day-to-day basis. It's a lot different versus, maybe purchase costs every 5 years or every 10 years, or usually the average on the national scale tends to be anywhere from 7 to 8 years. So,
Yeah, that's very valuable information because there's a lot of misinformation out there and people, they just go based on what they hear. So that's really important. So Jose, it's been great having you today on the 12-Minute Talks podcast. How can somebody reach out to you if they would like more information?
all right. So if anybody wants to reach out to me, like I mentioned earlier, I'm in the Orlando area. My phone number is 407-707-8370. And my information will be down below in the comments section. Okay.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, like always, all of the information will be in the description below. So if anybody's watching on YouTube or listening on their podcast platform, it's all there in the description, so they can easily reach out to Jose. And I just wanted to quickly introduce myself for those of you that don't know who I am. My name's Lorena Tomasini, and I'm the owner of Mom Life and Health Insurance Agency, where together with my mom, we help other families and businesses with their financial protection needs. Jose, it's been great having you on today. Is there anything else you would like to add?
No, that's it. That's it, Lorena. I just want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to be on your show.
Awesome. Yeah, it's been great having you on. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to this podcast and hope you will listen to the next one. I'm Lorena Tomasini and you can contact me via email life@malmins.com. Make it a great day.